Hi everyone, starting chapter 6 today, so 6.1. The title is Slope Y-Intercept Form. Okay, so slope Y-Intercept form is this equation here. And the reason why it's called the slope Y-Intercept form is because the equation has the slope, which is your m. Okay, so we have our slope and we have our Y-intercept. Okay, just to recall that slope was also rate of change. It's also the constant of variation and the constant multiple. Y-intercept could also be the starting point, the initial value, or the constant number. Okay, so we've learned that in the last chapter. Okay, number 1, identify the slope and y-intercept of each line, then write an equation. Okay, so what we want to find is the slope, then the y-intercept, and then the equation. So slope, y-intercept, and equation. Slope, y-intercept, equation. Okay, so when slope, we learned 3 different ways to calculate in chapter 5. There was 3 different ways depending on what was given. So if a graph was given, then we could count the spaces. If a table of values was given, we would count what the y is going up by and put it over what the x is going by. And lastly, if we're given 2 points, no graph, no table, just 2 points, then we can use the formula. Okay, so our first one here, we have a graph. So we're going to count the spaces. So we're going to do rise over run. The easiest point to start with is where the y-intercept is. So the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Crosses or touches. So we actually know our y-intercept here is -5. So I'll space this out a bit. So we know our y-intercept is -5. That's usually the easiest one to find. Now we're going to do our slope. So we're going to do rise over run. So along this line, we're going to find another point that we could use. Okay, so we want a point that intersects the grid nicely. So if we look here at this point here, this intersects or is easy to find this point here or this one here. Okay, so I'm just going to go from this point to this point. So our rise, we go up 1, go up 2. So we count it upwards, so it's +2. And then we're going to count to the right, 1, 2, 3. So our slope is 2/3. Okay, notice that these are going up by 1s. So we can discount the spaces. So up 2, then 1, 2, 3 to the right. So our slope is 2/3. And now the equation is just y equals 2/3x minus 5. Okay, so find the 2 points. Start from the one on the left, count up 2, and then right 3. Since we counted up, it's +2. Since we counted right, it's +3. Okay, so don't notice that I didn't do this. Some of you guys might be doing this. So it's y equals mx plus b. So you do 2/3x plus a -5 because the y-intercept's -5. So just if you have a positive negative here, a positive negative simplifies to just a negative. So 2/3x minus 5. Okay, next one. So again, we're going to start with the y-intercept. Y-intercept here at this point is +3. Okay, so now we have 1 point. Now we're going to find our second point. So one that is easy to read right here. This one intersects nicely. Okay, so this one, or this one. So rise over run starts here. We go down 1, 2. So since we're going down, it is -2. and then we're moving 1 to the right, so just 1. So negative 2 over 1, which is equal to just negative 2. So our equation, y equals negative 2x plus 3. So the m and then b, so negative 2x plus 3. Okay, so now two trickier ones. Okay, so again, start with our y-intercept. So we're across the y-axis as at 4. Okay, now our slope, rise over run. So we got to find another point. So we could go anyway. So we could go to this point here. So we have a flat line, a horizontal flat line. You should remember from the last chapter what the slope of a flat line is. Okay, the flat line slope is 0. Okay, so I'm just going to prove that to you. So I don't go up or down at all. I just go side to side. So I can't go up or down. So I'm moving 0 spaces up, 0 spaces down. Okay, and then we'll just move 1 to the right. So we get 1. So 0 divided by 1 is 0. So our slope is 0, which we knew from previous chapter that a flat horizontal line has a slope of 0. So now how do we write it in the equation? So y equals 0x plus 4. But 0 times x is 0, so we don't need to write this. So it's just y equals 4. That's the equation. It looks a little bit weird. And the reason why it's y equals 4 is because at this point here, don't mind my pink pencil, by the way. So this is 0, 4. This is 1 and 4. This is 2 and 4. This is 3 and 4. This is negative 1, 4, negative 2, 4. So if you notice, all the points are touching where y is equal to 4. So 0, 4, 1 and 4, 2 and 4, 3 and 4, and so on. So it's all the points where y is 4. That's why it's the equation like that. Okay, next one. Okay, we're going to start with the y-intercept. This is our line here. Okay, it does not cross the y-axis at all. It crosses the x-axis, but it doesn't cross the y-axis at all. So for B, don't put 0, it's none, or NA. It doesn't cross the y-axis at all. Don't put 0, because you put 0, that means it crosses here. So we have a vertical line, okay? It does not cross the y-axis. Okay, and we also touched on a vertical line in the last chapter, but let's go through what the proof is. So here, we could do, let's start, say at this point here. So we go up or down to whatever point you want to. So let's say we went here. So we count 2 spaces up. So I went up 2. Now my run means left or right. We don't move left or right at all. So we're not moving left or right, so it's 0. If you were to plug this onto your calculator, and I forgot my calculator upstairs. Damn it. Forgot my calculator. If you plug this into your calculator, 2 divided by 0, you're going to get error. I believe I showed you in the last chapter, when you divide by 0, there isn't an answer. It's 0. It's an error. We learned in chapter 5 that a vertical line has a undefined slope. Okay, so horizontal line, flat, horizontal, slope is 0. Vertical line, it's an undefined slope. So the tricky part here is, how do we make an equation? Y equals mx plus b. We don't have a b. We don't have a slope. So we somehow have to make an equation. So we can't use y equals mx plus b. So what do we do? Well, let's look at this one over here, this previous one. So here, 0, 4, 1, 4, 2 and 4, 3 and 4. So let's see if there's a pattern on this one. 2 and 0, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 negative 1, 2 negative 2, 2 negative 3. Well, what do all these points have in common? Well, they all have the x value of 2. 2 and 0, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 negative 1, 2 and 2, 2 negative 2, 2 negative 3. So they touch all the points where x is 2. So the equation is just x equals 2. Okay? Vertical lines are always going to have x equals whatever. So where it crosses the x-axis, so x equals 2. Whereas a horizontal line is going to be y equals whatever number it crosses. So y equals 4 in this case. All right, number 2. Write the equation or equation. Write an equation of a line, line given the slope and y-intercept. So we're just doing y equals mx plus b. So we're going to substitute them in. So y equals m, which is 3 over 4, x. Again, don't do plus minus 4. So some of you guys will do this, plus minus 4. Remember, when it's a positive and negative together, it is just a negative. So 3 over 4x minus 4. Okay, that's it for that one. Next one, y equals negative 3x plus 0. So m is negative 3, b is 0. But you do not have to write the 0. So it's just y equals negative 3x. Okay, C, y equals 0x plus 6. But you do not need to write the 0x. So it's y equals 6. And our last question here, undefined slope. So that means it's vertical. It does not cross the y-axis. So we can't use mx plus b, but it crosses the x-axis at negative 2. So the answer will be x equals negative 2. Okay, so that is the lesson today. The homework here at the bottom. So page 304, 1 to 4, 6 to 10. I want to reiterate, this is the most important chapter for grade 9 and is probably the most difficult one. Yeah, it's the most difficult one. So you really need to stay on top of this homework. You got to make sure you complete it. If you have questions, please email me and ask questions. Just one last thing, any birthday shout outs? What do we have here? We have CJ, happy belated. Your birthday was 2 days ago. So happy belated to you. And Joyce, happy belated as well. Your birthday was on 2 days ago as well. So happy belated to you too. And I won't have a video up tomorrow, so early birthdays. So Hisham, birthday is tomorrow, so happy birthday. And Melissa, your birthday is tomorrow as well, so happy birthday. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.